going to ask you. Good evening, everybody. It is October the 4th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. exactly. I'm in council chambers along with Councillors Bain, Abbott, and Bormir, along with CAO DeJong, CFO Rook, and Municipal Coordinator Rick. And with us on screen is also Public Works Manager Jaffer. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and the first bit of business is the closed council meeting. And proposed topics for discussion in the absence of the public is firstly personnel matters. CAO, do you have an addition? Good. Do you have an addition to this?
I have.
Thought there was something late coming.
Yeah, well, there's some on-table materials that were circulated to council.
This would be the in-camera.
No, with respect to the beach park.
No, we're in, okay, open, but is there a reason for another reason to go into in-camera?
Oh, into the in-camera, I'm sorry. Yes. Actually, yeah, we can add.
Let's take a second.
I think it's E, but I want to double check. Yeah, 91 I.
And the topic is
And receipt of legal advice.
legal advice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As well as G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality.
Litigation. What was the litigation
Or potential litigation, yeah.
litigation? Thank you very much. And the subsection is 91I. It would be added.
No, that was G and I.
G and I. Okay, just to recap. Proposed topics for discussion in the absence of the public are first, personnel matters, secondly, legal advice, and third matter, litigation. And the meeting be closed to public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following sections of the community charter, and where required, the council does consider the matters could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. I won't read the whole part of the section, but they are sections 90, subsection 1A and C, and subsection 91 I and G. Council anticipates reconvening the open meeting to discuss the balance of the agenda. All those in favor of the reason for going to the closed meeting, please confirm by saying yes.
Yep.
Yes. Carried, and we'll say goodbye to the gallery until later. It's October 4th, exactly at 7 p.m. I'm in chambers along with all of our council and CAO DeJong, CFO Rook, and Municipal Coordinator Rick, and many people in the gallery, both live and virtually. I'm calling the meeting to order. And we've just come out of close. We've recessed there. There's nothing to report out at this time. And I'll put forward a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Bain, second. Any changes, amendments? CAO, any changes?
Yeah, we've got an on-table information report regarding the Lions Bay Beach Park. And that is found on the website. And also on-table public feedback regarding the Lions Bay Beach Park, in addition to the feedback that is included in the report.
Shall we call those staff reports?
That's
5, 6, 7, 8, or how are you want to know it?
additions to item
7, 8.
8.
additions to the. I think everybody has those. Thank you very much. So we'll just make a note on that.
Additionally, if we could swap the order of the reports, the items at 10A, 4, and 5.
Fine. Anything else? Councillor, any changes, amendments? Yep.
I'd like to put forward that we actually remove some items from the agenda. And I could go through them. Or I guess if we could do part of that agenda, but I think it would be cleaner to do that right and see.
Why don't you,
If I get a second,
maybe have.
3, possibly a 4th. So I'll just go right into it.
You can just hold for a second. So go over to corporate officers. I'm fine with Councillor Abbott putting it forward, and then we can break it up piece by piece, and council can say yes or no. We can do it all in one shot. What's the advice from corporate officers?
We can have one full resolution and bifurcate it and go through each one.
Yeah.
And vote yes or no for each.
Yeah. Do that way.
The advice is
Have one resolution with 3 sub items, and we'll go through one at a time.
okay, and your pieces are then. So we're discussing the agenda. So Councillor Abbott, if you make advice what they are.
Okay, the one that was number 5, I guess is now number 4, and the one that was number 4. Okay, the purchase of the public works equipment, the new purchase of the trailer. That's the first one, we'll remove that. And then the equipment loan, the MFA loan, because those two are now actually entwined.
Both of them?
Yep.
That's 1 and 2?
Yep.
Okay. Third one?
The third one is on the beach park. I'd like to remove the direction. I think we can receive the report, but I'd suggest we don't provide staff with any direction this month.
I think we could do it at that time, right at the front, if that would be fine with you. I don't have a mind.
That's it at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just trying to understand what it is you're suggesting with respect to the report. Removing what direction?
The recommendation is the council will provide direction to staff in respect to these matters. I would like to suggest that you receive it, we don't discuss it, and don't provide any direction.
I meant that for
You can do that at the time
Okay.
you get to that item without doing it in advance.
Okay, so in that case, then it's just the removal of 2 then, and then we can adjust the recommendations on the other.
Okay, so if, just to recap then, if I may, then Councillor Abbott will consider that you've made a motion on this. So the recommendation is that the deletion on the agenda is what is going to change from is item number 10.4 and 10.5, which is the public works purchase, and the second is the financing resolution. You're putting forward.
Before that, this is
Second. You have a second, okay. So this is a decision. Are you deciding or making it a second?
I'm making it a second.
Making a second, okay. I think we know what the 2 things are. Is there any discussion? Otherwise, we'll go right to a vote.
I would like to ask the public works manager what sort of scenario that would be for him if we were to delay this, because
Mr. Jaffer, the scenario, if I can paraphrase what Councillor Cunliffe is asking, is the immediacy of this, allowing that we are here in October. It's a quiet period. Regular council would not convene until the end of November. So
November 15th.
there you go, middle of November.
Yeah, so I'll defer to the Chief Financial Officer with respect to the MFA loan. I just remind council that council approved the purchase of both those pieces of equipment. At the time, we didn't include the MFA borrowing resolution. So that's a formality. The equipment, those 2 pieces of equipment have been ordered. So placing the MFA borrowing is just a formality. With respect to the trailer and the flail mower, council's, well, absolutely can defer those to the new council.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, I should add, I'd be remiss that the new pieces of equipment are, the mini excavator is oversized for that trailer, so we would not be able to tow the mini excavator. We would have to rely on contracting that out. So we would have to call in a low bid to move that piece of equipment around.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? So the question is to delete.
Sorry, I think there was some clarification from the CFO on whether that's going to cost us anything.
Equipment, it's per our budget, it was in our budget, so we acted accordingly, we ordered the equipment, so we will, and the decision was to do that with an MFA loan. So there's quite a significant impact if the direction is not to go with the loan. I mean, it's in the budget, it was approved by council, like I say, we acted accordingly. We just subsequently discovered that there's an issue with the trailer, so that's why we were asking for permission to do the trailer as well.
So just to be clear, we have the budget to buy something. We didn't know what the cost came in. We haven't been made aware of any of the bidding process, and now it's being ordered, correct?
In accordance with
With the
approval
budget.
that was granted through the passing of the budget. So if I may,
Yeah.
we're kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of matters,
Okay.
and which should really be, we're on approval of the agenda, and
But
and I
it
think
is
that everybody.
CAO, but it is before us, so I think.
The point that why I think twine is because now you're asking for additional money over the budget for a trailer. Even if we say no to that, we still have to approve the budget for the trailer. Otherwise, we've got a vehicle. Skid steer, we can't. Excavator. We just push it out. That's not the question.
How will it affect
How would it
Public
affect if we
Works?
push it out for a month?
I think these are questions that you need to ask the
Yeah,
public
sure.
works manager in the course of that item when it comes up on the agenda, rather than trying to deal with it as a
I think so.
approval of agenda item.
Okay. So just leave it.
Well, the motion on the floor is that these items be deleted. So I will call a motion. I'm not in favor of them being deleted.
I think we can discuss it.
I think it needs discussion. No.
Motion defeated. It's on the agenda. Any other items on the agenda?
Sorry, we need to know how you're voting, opposed or in favor of,
I know, I'm still voting in favor of my resolution.
Yeah.
To have it removed.
okay, and Councillor Bain, I didn't hear from you.
Well, it sounds like we do need to discuss it after all, but so I guess I'm not in favor of it this time.
Not in favor of deleting it from the agenda, so we'll count that as 4 votes. For not in favor of deleting it from the agenda and 1 in favor. So the motion is defeated.
Okay. Very much. Moving on. So unless there's any other changes to the agenda, all in favor of the agenda as it is set, please come up saying yes, no.
Yes.
Carried. Thank you very much. We continue with public participation, and I guess we've got folks here. So Mr. Broughton, you've got 2. And then I've got the screen behind me if anybody puts their hand up. Otherwise, we'll have the folks here. Thank you. You have the floor, Mr. Broughton.
Thank you very much. I'm Michael Broughton and I live in Lions Bay. I fully support the Lions Bay Beach Park revitalization. However, I'm very concerned that there be a very fulsome community consultation because I believe that will enhance the outcome. So I'm asking council to fully engage in community consultation prior to making any further commitments on the Lions Bay Beach Park. I had 3 very interesting conversations today, among many, but one was with Rob Simon, who is the original designer of the Laurie Depp Memorial. One with Mr. Bernie Engelman, who I'll speak to a little bit later. He's actually an international playscape designer and builder who happens to live 4 houses away from the Lions Bay Beach Park. And the third with Ewan Ruan, who is the PMG landscape designer or landscape architect who is working on the beach park, who is was a delightful gentleman to speak to. Now, looking at the beach park design, I think there's some things that are just a tick. They're go for it sort of thing. The kayaks and the SUP racks clearly are vital, are used extensively, and the access to the ocean for all people is certainly very supportable. There are, however, 4 recommendations that I'd make based on reviewing the plans and in discussions with some others. The first is regarding the thought park, and I think everyone's delighted that that has been included here on board park or play area. However, in review of the Todd Park and discussions with Mr. Ruan, it's a original idea which is designed for 2- to 5-year-olds. And I've just asked that parents of infants and toddlers be involved in the design of that and the addition of swings and that type of thing that are so vital from that young age. Secondly, the picnic table area.
You're out of time, Mr. Broughton, if you could wind up in a second or two.
Okay, a couple seconds, okay. Second is the picnic table area, which is blocking a view, social and traffic area. The AstroTurf on the hill has been identified by a very esteemed member of our community as hurting people. He's a international rugby player. So I'm concerned about children and their teeth and so on there. And
Thank you very much, Mr. Broughton.
Overseeing on the design, and I'm very, very concerned about the inside and outside treatments there. And the fact that
Mr. Broughton,
didn't see anything.
Mr. Broughton, you do what 2 minutes look like. Thank you. There we go. Anybody else for the live gallery here? Nope. Anybody from the virtual? There being none. I don't see anybody. Thank you very much. So we'll move from the public participation to the public delegation, which is Mr. Shore and Mr. Spredsky. However you're doing this, either or.
Both of us.
Is it okay, one moment, I just see something. Thank you for your patience.
Name is Marek Swiecki. We ask the council to stop addressing any issues related to park report and the park report to be placed into the new elected council agenda. It is unusual to have this item on agenda with community input during the municipal election. In principle, we are in support of beach park renovation for the last 6 years. However, no decisions on capital projects should come forward during the municipal election. It falls outside the interest of the community and represent notably poor judgment on the part of the council. The mailer was placed in mailboxes on Tuesday, September 27th, of the day of all candidate meeting. Poses questions whether this is an example of vote buying or an example of providing brochure for favorite candidates at village cost and failing to place the required authorization of financial agent statement for each council members, including the mayor, on that document. Since the administration has recently concluded a new poll of the residents, it is clear to everyone that the current plans lack enough residents' feedback. The poll has not clearly associated the cost estimated of over $1 million at this, and this has become a major topic being discussed by candidates and residents during the election. prudence would suggest putting a hold on more communication to the old plans, wherein we are 2 weeks away from elected government. I also want to make sure you understand that whoever is elected, the new governing Lions Bay, there will be more democratic dealings and no bullying and ignorance towards residents will be tolerated. I want to be noted. Thank you.
So I am also here talking, my name is David Shore, I live on Ocean View Road. And I'm also here to talk about the decision regarding beach washrooms and going ahead with the project. I'd like to start with some historical context. About 7 years ago, a half a dozen residents were so fed up with the state of the beach washrooms, they took it upon themselves to put together some simple plans to replace the toilets and sinks and put in a floor that included a drain that could be quickly hosed down by beachgoers on an ongoing basis. There was a senior builder in that group whose occupation is making Starbucks, restaurants, and later Lululemon stores, and was certainly qualified to do a simple job like this. Since budgets are always tight, we offered to pass the hat among residents and beachgoers, do some community fundraising, hosted by residents, and then do the work by volunteers. We were told we couldn't do that because it would take work away from the union. We later found out that wasn't true. The budget we had for ourselves was just under $25,000. However, we did not have any labor costs included since volunteers would do it for free. It was, however, a professional job with allocation for permits, design drawings, a performance bond, insurance, and all the materials, including new installation, new lights, new faucets and sinks and toilets, and a 4-foot metal trough wall urinal. While they turned us away, council thought it was a good idea to clean up the washrooms, so they asked the public works manager to come up with a budget, which he eventually set at $100,000. Next, the staff applied for a grant to help with expenses. These grants are often as much as 75% of the total cost, with the municipality paying the balance. Instead of applying for a grant for $75,000 that we would contribute $25,000 to, the grant was applied for using our budget at $100,000 as our portion, and a request for another $200,000 and to make up the $300,000. And if you want to know, that's how we went from $100,000 to $300,000. Next, they changed the name of the project to the Beach Park Project, and surveys were issued to find ways to spend the extra $200,000. The survey conducted 5 years ago asked about features people might want and drew conclusions from about 10% of the population. The problem with that survey and the one more recently done last week is that there was no context to costs. If you're buying a car and the salesman offers you all-wheel drive and premium stereo and adaptive cruise control, you'd say sure, but you would also ask how much these extras cost. Then he tells you they're thousands of dollars each and you prioritize based on cost to relevance. I'll give up the premium stereo and adaptive cruise control to get the all-wheel drive because we live on a hill and it snows in the winter and I want my family safe. That's how rational decisions are made. A couple of years later, the washroom still had not been renovated and another application was put in for a grant. Since the budget was now $300,000, the grant was once again submitted with our budget as the contribution as opposed to submitting an application for a $300,000 project. This is how we got to $285,000 contribution from taxpayers at $1 million project. Next, we hired consultants to try to find a way to spend the extra money. $89,000 was committed to plans and consulting services alone. Remember, that's pretty close to the original budget repair of the washrooms 6 years ago. It's now October 4th, 2022, 7 years since the volunteer group offered a fix, and the washrooms are still an embarrassing mess. Think of what would have happened if we had just applied a $50,000 6 or 7 years ago to spruce them up, while all this other commotion was going on for the rest of the projects for the beach park that came as a result of people thinking grant money is free money. Someone said grant money can make you broke. Well, this is exactly how that happens. It's like saying, we have to spend $100,000 on this new car. We need features in order to get it there because the base model is just 60,000. And we need a lot of extra bells and whistles in order to spend a total of $100,000. Look, everyone loves the beach park and wants at least the beach washrooms renovated. And there's a lot of other overdue maintenance that's needed. But what we don't need is excessive options that are a result of escalating project scope created by the way we applied for grants. These are not prudent considerations that take in the context of our financial position or the global financial situation for that matter. Let's not rush it. Let's make it a positive experience for everyone. It's an important thing for our community and we want to make sure we get it right. It must be clear to this council that there's a lot of uncertainty among the residents. Many of you are out talking to potential voters and you must be hearing this. Why wouldn't you put a stop to the development and wait 2 weeks for the new government? Based on the backlash you're receiving here, you really have to put a hold on it, or you have to explain why this isn't vote buying in the middle of an election period.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shore and Mr. Stretzy. Which takes us to item number 7, which is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting of September 20th. And the motion is that the meeting minutes of September 20th be approved as circulated. Councillor Barnwell, will you put that forward?
Yep.
Councillor Abbott, will you second?
Yes.
Changes, amendments, anybody? Answers?
I've got one. It's a typo. It's in several places. It's the Bayview Drip project, not the drip project.
Thank you
We
very
don't want
much.
to do. That's what we don't want to do. Yeah, we don't want to do.
Glad you could pick it up since most of the council members have been looking at screens for the last few days. Pretty hard. Thank you very much. Anything else, Councillor Abbott?
No.
Good. All in favor of the minutes as amended? Yes. Opposed? No. Thank you. Carried. Business arising? I have none. Colleagues?
Yep, no, thanks.
Councillor Abbott?
On page 13, there was a couple of outstanding actions, and I guess we should put them on the action log, even though we don't know if the Mayor Ron McLaughlin will be here to do the report on the Wednesday planning. Or actually, that would be too late for me to. And Councillor Barmayer was going to report on the Climate Action Committee. Yeah, that's going to be. That's going to be for the next council. So, was there anything in the Remembrance Day ceremony that we wanted to touch on here?
Sorry, my hearing's a little poor tonight, Councillor. It was which topic again?
In the last meeting, the meeting minutes say, Remembrance Day plans, Mayor McLaughlin will advise and report back to the next council on the Remembrance Day ceremony.
Nothing to report, sorry.
Could I just add something?
Yes.
The Memorial Committee hopes to have the new plaque and everything in place for Remembrance Day. So that's good positive there. I think they're working right on schedule.
Probably the most successful study group we've ever had. Thank you, Councillor Bain. Okay, any other unfinished business? Thank you. Which moves to the box items, and I think on the vegetation program, CAO, anything new?
No.
No. I think the municipal financial comparisons I had asked, and they agreed that the CFO could do that in November, for November. That'd be great. Thank you. And on the highway maintenance follow-up, it's been a month since we last spoke about this. Is there any movement on that with Modi?
Yeah, so I was advised that the 2 paved areas that were done this year in Lions Bay on the Sea to Sky were done without the open graded friction course. So open graded friction course is the noise dampening pavements. So those 2 areas were done without using that pavement because they were too small to order that kind of material. The MOTI doesn't have a firm date when the condition assessment for the pavement will be done for this year, but they anticipate it'll be done before the end of the year. They did indicate that the pavement is close to the end of its life and should be replaced within the next few years, but would not commit to a date. So it's just a waiting game until that happens. And when that does happen, the areas that were done with regular pavement will be done with the open grade friction course.
Thank you very much for the report. Does that not imply that we've given up on the sound pavement, Works Manager?
The open grade friction course is the sound pavement, sorry.
Okay. Councilors, any questions?
More a comment. It sounds like Modi has given up on their commitment to replacing our pavement.
No, they will be replacing it with the sound dampening pavement. They're just not willing to commit to a time. It will be done within the next few years, according to them. They're just waiting. They're waiting for the condition assessment that their concessionaire Miller Capilano is conducting right now.
I guess there's some movement there.
So, no, wasn't there a commitment to do it in a certain time? Wasn't there like every 10 years that we're going to replace it or something? Now it's just based on a condition assessment when we all know it's not working, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about the commitment that was originally made during the original contract or agreement. I do know that the condition assessment is typical for determining pavement life, and that's basically what drives pavement replacement. I don't know that it has much to do with the sound dampening. It was more the actual deterioration of the paved surface.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councilors, if there's no further questions, I think that I would appreciate, if I'm sitting in this chair on November the 15th, I'd appreciate seeing something in writing. And if I'm not sitting in this chair, I think my successor would like to see something in writing. So if you could put words to paper for us and provide a brief staff report on the highway maintenance as it is now for the meeting for the 15th, that'd be greatly appreciated. Councilors, are you fine with that?
Yeah.
Thank you. If I could ask you to do that, Mr. Jaffer. Thank you. So we'll take that report to follow on November 15th would be the same. Next item is the Clat building, which is up. Well, both of these items are up tonight, so I guess we'll just leave that in work in progress if that's fine. Mr. John.
Well, Clat building, there's a report. The LB connector, the plans for consultation are in progress. The Bayview DWIP is we're waiting still to find out whether or not we're going to get that grant, and I forget what the timeline is.
Well, if it follows the last application, we probably won't hear until July 2023.
Great. I think I'd like to have this left on just so that it isn't lost for us as well. Okay. Big deal for us. Thank you very much. And my apologies, Councillor Cunliffe. One of the carryover items was your writing to Mr. and Mrs. Goach, which you'll be doing momentarily.
Correct.
Thank you very much. So we'll
the reminder.
Put that on. That's page 14 of 182. Thank you very much. Which brings us to the staff reports, which is 355 Ocean View Road encroachment agreement and section 219 covenant. For begin
355. And I'd like to actually pull this from tonight's agenda, defer it to the next council meeting on November 15th. The applicant has indicated that they're not yet ready to agree to the terms of the agreement. Got some concerns about a couple of items. And so I imagine we'll have further conversations about that and hopefully bring back an agreement for approval and signature and registration thereafter.
Thank you very much. Could you remind us again how long it's outstanding?
It was first brought to council in May of 2021. We've been trying to work through the process with the property owners and to ensure that retaining walls and other structures being built on municipal road right of way were in compliance with our requirements and engineering requirements and so forth. So it's been a bit of a process. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel for the west side of the property, and I think that the property owners will have a much better idea as to what's required for the east side of the property when they're ready to move forward with that aspect of the project.
Thank you very much. All right, so you're pulling it. I don't think we need to vote on that. Thank you very much.
Well, actually, a resolution to defer this item. So
Okay.
just defer it to the November 15th.
Thank you. I'll put forward that resolution to defer item staff 1. 255 Ocean View encroachment agreement and SEC 219 covenant. Councilor Bayer, second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? Yes. Opposed? No. Good. Carry. Good deal. Which brings us to item number 2, renewal of the Crown lease for North Brunswick Beach Rattling Magnesia Creek. And
so this one, again, I'm going to ask council to pass a motion for this item to the November 15th council meeting. It was noted that the terms of the lease, this is a lease renewal. So we've had this for 30 years. It's a lease renewal for another 30 years. And the terms were supposed to have been for a concessionary fee of $1, as it was for the first 30 years. Unfortunately, somehow that didn't come through in the documentation. And when I brought that to their attention, they had to look into it. I also made some other requests about that. And so they're looking into those things, and they've agreed to a submission date extension until December 31st of this year. But I think we hopefully will be at the point that we can proceed next meeting. If not, then I'll ask for another deferral, but I'd like to aim for that particular meeting to have this rectified and passed.
And this might just be a bizarre comment, but until there's a coronation, it'll remain in agreement with Her Majesty the Queen. I think the technicality on that,
So there's a couple of things at play here. One is the land is actually, for the most part, accreted land. So it's been added to the foreshore by Magnesia Creek depositing silt and other material at the mouth of the creek. And so the natural boundary, in accordance with the 1909 Plan 3149, shows a particular natural boundary for that area, which differs perhaps from what reality is today, differs from the 1960 plan, and it differs probably from today. So one of the requests that I had for the ministry was to ask them to resurvey that area and actually to go from Magnesia Creek all the way along the whole front of Brunswick Beach, all the way to Myrtle Street, or to the point, or at the very least to Crystal Falls Road, and that would provide assistance to both the ministry and municipality in terms of dealing with foreshore issues, which we've experienced within the past year. So I'll find out what their response is on that, and that's one of the reasons why it wasn't a real quick fix for tonight. But they are agreeable to the $1 amount for the lease renewal, and we'll see about the rest of it.
thank you very much. Again, I'll put forward the motion to defer this item, which is the renewal of the Crown lease for North Brunswick Beach straddling Magnesia Creek until the next council meeting. Second, thanks, Councilor Barmer. Any questions? Call the motion. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Yeah, is this going to be a quick evening or? Okay. Thank you. Or just making space for us. Okay, thanks. Next up is the Public Works Manager. Has got some information on the. Are we calling it the Cub or the Cube or what's the?
Cub.
Cub. Okay.
Yeah.
The Cub project, and the motion is that public feedback on the cup project we received. Councillor Bain, will you put that forward?
Yep.
Councillor Cunliffe, will you second?
Yes.
Public Works Manager, we've got the story. What's anything else want to add?
Essentially what we're talking about is the replacement of the aging water mains on Upper Bayview, Bayview Place and Center Road, which are all identified in the infrastructure master plan as being deficient for a variety of reasons. This is to prepare shovel-ready plans for the next round of grant funding that we hope will come in the new year. So in preparation for that, we went out to the residents. We issued village update articles and posted to our website a survey. And it was open between July 8th and September 9th. And we received some responses from the residents. As part of this work, ISL will also be looking at potentially designing a underground PRV that meets the WorkSafe BC requirements for a low risk environment, which would negate the need for confined space procedures. And once they've furthered that idea and looked at some costs, we'll bring that back to council for their consideration.
Thank you very much.
Looks like there's someone in the waiting room. Yeah. Right? Someone in the waiting room.
Okay, we're connecting with them. So thank you very much. Councillors, any questions?
Someone else wants to go first?
Well, I guess I do have one question. Other than the website and the view, did a mailer go to people like affected addresses?
No.
Like a physical mailer?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just 1.9 on the first page, calculation of 24% response rate. Would that have been 2.4? Or 24% of what?
The affected property owners?
Correct. 24% of the property owners that that are affected by this, that directly front onto the property.
Okay. Yeah, I assume, okay, good clarification. It doesn't say that. I just assumed it was percentage of those that received or village update or something. Okay. It doesn't say property owners.
No, sorry.
Following with the theme of the night, can we defer this and bring it back to the next council? Because they're the ones who want to look at it and do it over again.
It's just it's just an information report, and that any decisions will be made by the new council. So whether it's above ground or underground, yeah.
No, I get that. My suggestion through the chair is that this actual report is put into the next agenda package as well. So when the new council are here,
I agree.
That's fine.
If I could ask staff to put it forward to the next, I think we can receive it and they can receive it too. So that's fine with you, Councillor Evan?
Yeah. Good.
Thank you. Good suggestion, by the way. Thank you. So I'll call a motion. All those in favor confirm by saying yes.
Yes.
Carried. And for staff reflecting our wishes, if this would appear for the next council meeting on the 15th, please. Thank you. Which brings us to the swapped items, which is the purchase of the public works equipment. And just to get this right into it, so the recommendation that council approve the purchase of an equipment trailer and flail mower in the amount of $39,052 to be funded by surplus. Councillor Cunliffe, would you put that forward?
Yes.
Councillor Bainley, second.
Yeah.
Pretty detailed report here. I'm not sure which of the CFO or Public Works Manager is going to carry this one.
So I can do a quick intro. So as we discussed earlier, council had approved the replacement of the mini excavator and the skid steer loader this year. We went out to tender for that. We received bids from 5 companies. During that process, we learned that the mini excavator, that all of the mini excavators that met the criteria were going to be over the weight class for our existing trailer. So essentially, what we're looking to do is replace an aging trailer with a replacement trailer that can handle the weight of the new mini excavator. If council chooses not to move forward with this, then what we would do is we would hire a low bed to move the mini excavator wherever we required to move it for projects. The cost to move the mini excavator is about 150 to 250 per move.
Thank you very much. CFO, anything to add to this?
Yes, then on that same note, if it weren't approved, then we would put this in the budget for next year, the equipment trailer. As I said, it's an aging piece of equipment. We do get a discount on the trailer and a minor, a small,
Credit for the
but like
Debit credit thing, I'll get you in the way, I know. Yeah.
for the for our existing trailer. So they made it sort of as an enticing offer to make it worthwhile to get it now. The trailer, but it would go into the, but we would make a budget request next year if council doesn't proceed.
Thank you very much. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Bain and Councillor Abbott.
One question I have about it is, did the criteria change getting the new mini excavator from the criteria that justified the previous one? In other words, are we going to a size bigger than we had before? Is that why we're going to be overweight?
No, it's in the same class. It's just the newer equipment is more powerful and yeah, it's just the weight class is still the same, but newer equipment's heavier than the older equipment.
Okay.
I just have a quick question. How many times would you anticipate having to move this excavator at $200 a move? Until such time as a new trailer could be purchased?
I would hazard a guess, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. Depending on the projects. It's used, for example, for ditching. It's used for flail mowing. So we would attach the flail mower to the arm of the excavator and use it to clean out all of our ditches. So it gets gets a fair amount of use.
So if we pass the budget next year to approve the purchase of this trailer, when would we realistically be able to expect delivery?
I don't think there's a long lead time for delivery, is there now?
I don't recall.
Yeah.
Can I intervene with another suggestion? So now you say the machine is actually under the weight capacity, but when you put the attachments like the bucket on it, it's over.
Yeah.
So you can move it up in the back of a pickup truck if you really needed to, inconvenience, and then you can put the bucket on at location.
Yes, we could. We would definitely look for alternatives to having to pay the move fee.
And then the other thing I'm a little puzzled by now is, why do we have this convoluted math to work out what the capacity of the trailer is? It should be stamped on the trailer. Why have we gone to gross vehicle mass and then deducted the weight of the actual trailer?
Because the trailer that
capacity should be on the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer that was purchased was an aftermarket trailer. And when it was purchased, it didn't have the gross vehicle weight on it. And it's as I say, an aftermarket trailer. It was built for a specific purpose. Whether that purpose was for us or whether we just bought it because it was on sale, or I'm not 100% sure. But yes, newer model trailers have the GVW included on it.
Well, they have the capacity that you can load included on it. You don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, Councillor Abbott, it's actually the GVW of the trailer.
You'll find both. Anyway, one last question. So it says here, you chose the models you want to buy based on best fit and price. Did we not go to the low bidder?
We did.
We did, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
The prices range from the 193 of this up to $271,000.
okay, so it said best fit and price, so we did actually go to low bidder.
We did.
Yes.
So could we not just wait a month and still get the discount and bring this forward to the next council?
We could try. We could talk to the service provider, the successful proponent.
You mean the trailer?
Yeah.
So you're talking about the trailer, you're
Yeah,
not talking about
just the
piece of
trailer for now.
equipment. Okay. I mean, I guess we could do that as well. Instead of waiting for the budget, we could bring it to the new council.
Easy enough.
Okay. But no one's going anywhere on the flail mower, that's dead in the water then, I guess, that's good. We've also asked for a flail mower here for $40,000. That one's dead in the water, they agreed.
Well, no, we've asked for both.
I know you've asked for both, but we're talking about a trailer. We're going around, do we need a trailer? Can we get by without one? Yes, we can get by without one for a few months. Put the bucket in the pickup truck. So that's the trailer dealt with. I'm now asking, are we now going to vote on approving the flail mower? Or is that going to come back to the next council? I would like to see that come to the next council. It's unbudgeted.
That's
And we
what I
take it from surplus.
That's what I was implying. But
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, so I mean, the reason I fully understand where you're coming from, the reason it was put in here is because in order for the flail mower to fit onto our mini excavator, we have to have a special flail mower, a plate fabricated, and that the plate will cost $3,000. So we've got a piece of equipment that's at the end of its life. In order to attach it to our new mini excavator, it'll cost us $3,000. And the thought was that we would save that $3,000 by pushing up the replacement of the flail mower. That's simply the reason it was put together. So if council does not go with a new flail mower, then we will need to spend the extra $3,000 to get the plate for the mini excavator.
So I guess it's back to the question of how urgently you need the new flail mower and excavator, or if you can carry on for another month with the existing one, and let the next council make decisions on stuff that's not budgeted.
Yeah, I mean, it just means we have to push our ditching program down the road, but it's definitely doable.
Okay, thank you very much. So the recommendation that's on the floor is the acquisition of the two items for just about $39,000. It's moved carried, and the decision before I call a motion is, do you want it to proceed and be purchased now, or in all likelihood being purchased by the next council? And the hardship for the works team is that they just wait 5 weeks. So I think that's pretty cut and clear. So with that being said, I will call a motion and I will lead the response. Decline.
I'm not in favor.
It's 2.
I think it can wait.
Carried. Thank you very much. So we'll
Finish the vote, please.
Yeah, I think we can wait.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for staff for that. And now going to the MFA for the this skid steer loader and mini excavator.
It seems to be a little bit redundant now.
It's a little redundant now.
What is it? I mean, to me,
I don't know.
It's 2 pieces of equipment we've ordered based on the fact that it was budgeted. The orders been placed, we have budgeted borrowing. I'd like to proceed with the purchase. I mean, it's unrelated to the other 2 things we just said.
It's unrelated. I agree. This is something that's in the current budget. We've acquired the assets.
The formality for the MFA borrowing, which has already been agreed to. I just need a council resolution.
Then let's get to it. I'll put that forward that the council of the Village of Lions Bay authorizes up to $195,000 to be borrowed under section 175 of the community charter under the municipal finance authority for the purpose of purchasing a skid steer loader and a mini excavator, and that the loan be repaid within 5 years with no rights of renewal. Council Barnier, will you put that forward?
Sure.
Councillor Bain, will you second?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So if I can recap CAO, this was in the budget, we've acquired the equipment, and this is the financing of it. Correct.
But I have a question. I mean, are we gonna default if we wait to do this borrowing on the purchase? The reason I'm asking is just because the perception right now to do anything with money is very, very.
Yeah, I understand. That's our concern is, well, I mean, it's in the budget. So
Yeah.
We do our due diligence,
Yeah.
it's operational.
I guess I just don't want to,
But
if we
appreciate council's side as well.
if we push out the borrowing, does that cost us anything? Do we put anything at risk other than a decision that might be made in the future?
Other than risk that it may not be approved, then we'd have to amend the budget because it's
Okay.
a significant amount. If
Okay.
the future council doesn't approve it, then it would just cost substantially more than we do go to buy them.
Is it not the case? I mean, we've ordered something, but to pay for it, if we don't have an MFA loan to pay for it, we have to pay for it with reserves.
No,
Can't just say,
they're
no,
suggesting
I'm not
that-
taking
They're
it.
suggesting that we cancel the order.
No.
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting that at all. It's been budgeted. We approved I mean, had this decision came to us 9 weeks ago, this wouldn't be a discussion in my opinion.
But I think the complicated, so you need to get, we approve the loan is the first step. And then you got to cut them a check, right? There's actually 2 steps, right?
Generally, it's the other way around with the equipment loan. It's been our practice because we have enough money, we generally pay for it. And then I do the formality of the loan and we're reimbursed. It's different than the long-term borrowing. That's a fundamentally different process.
Okay.
This is a basic, it's about a week-long process.
So the complication is you have to approve other stuff that's unbudgeted in order to comply with this.
No.
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 Well, now I have to,
Council's made their decision on the
The
plan.
orders are in place.
okay,
We've already approved it.
but you can use your flail mower in the meantime. Okay, whatever.
Okay, we just have to spend $3,000 to make it work.
Yeah, to make it work.
Which would be in the,
Yeah, there's a piece that we weren't going to order if we had the plan order approved, but because it's not, we'll just get that extra piece. We can.
Approving it is the right thing to do. We're just not gonna do it this meeting. We're gonna wait for the next council to do it. It's really all we're saying.
approving the flail motor.
No.
No.
The loan.
Yes.
Approving the loan.
Just the loan, just the borrowing.
But I guess it's in the budget. I mean.
I don't know.
We
Comfortable approving.
basically used,
In a nutshell,
they approved it.
that the flail mower and the trailer are currently not approved. It's pushed off to the next council. We'll decide whether or not there are other options or what's going to happen with respect to that. But we have a couple pieces of equipment on order and we have to pay for them. And so this is the formality of just taking care of the loan that covers that. It's already in the budget. Whether or not we end up getting a trailer and a flail mower, the current one is irrelevant.
It covers the skid steer loader and the mini excavator.
It has already. had
Purchase orders have been issued and on order.
Made.
That's right.
This is just merely a formality.
But I think the perception is if we approve
Live up
this
to our
loan,
obligations that we've made
it's
to a
not
vendor.
gonna work out. I think we just have to wait.
There's a risk. I mean, this council has approved this purchase. We acted accordingly. There's a risk the next council may not. And then we won't get the 2 pieces of equipment.
I mean, we've already issued a purchase order, so we're committed legally.
We need to
to
pay our
those-
bills.
Yeah,
That's how I.
basically,
yeah,
this
we've
is
already
this is
decided that we're going. We were.
this is the formality of paying the check.
It's not like we're not gonna be able to pay for it. Pam has the cash to pay for it, but what she's suggesting is we use an MF loan to pay for it
It was
instead.
not suggesting, that was approved by
That
council.
was approved,
Yeah.
getting loan was approved by
So
council.
recommended where I would not want to deplete.
I think
reserves, but
that
doesn't allow us
it's
to want-
unfortunate timing. It's come to this meeting, but like I said, had this come to us in June, we would have approved this process and we wouldn't be having this discussion. And I'm comfortable moving forward personally.
Well, I mean, really, the resolution should have been part of the budget approval process. We could have included it at that time and then we wouldn't be here today.
Okay, does everybody understand the transaction, which in brief is it's been ordered, they're coming, we've issued the PO, we're waiting for it. It's in the budget and the issue is, are we going to pay for it out of cash? or are we going to borrow for it? And as CFO said, we were going to do that all along. And here is a recommendation. Unfortunately, it has October 4th on it. So with that, I will call a motion. All those in favor of the motion, which is to proceed as we have recommended. All those in favor, yes. Opposed, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's carried to me. I'm not a stickler on yes or no. So
Carried anyway. I feel that there still is an impact. I'm going to say no
the
because
question is yes or no.
I'm going to say no
Thank you.
because there is still an impact that's unbudgeted. We're either buying a $3,000 plate and a trailer or both. So I was going to say
No, that's.
Thank you very much.
That's totally
Completely
separate.
separate.
Nothing to do with it.
This is the low interest 3.34%
Yes.
versus using our cash, right? It makes sense to borrow the money.
And it could very well.
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you. Carried.
okay, just think that it does have something to do with this. If we don't approve anything else, we at least $3,000 short, or you have to throw in the flame mower. Anyway, they are connected, not completely independent. Okay,
It's $3,000, not
not the end of the day.
discretionary spending.
Thank you very much. It brings us then to item number 6, which is,
$2,000.
all right, councillors,
But it was, it'd be part of the capital purchase.
councillors, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next piece, which is the garbage recycling and organics collection and hauling contract for 2023. And the motion is that council authorize the mayor and CAO or the CFO to execute a 9-month extension to the existing solid waste collection agreement with the Waste Control Services, Inc. dated for reference September 30, 2023. Councillor Barmeyer, will you put that forward?
Yep.
Councillor Abbott, will you second, please?
Yes.
If I think this is pretty clear report, CAO, could you give us the quick skinny again, please?
I think that's a public works.
Oh, sorry, Public Works now.
Yeah, sorry, I got a lot on the agenda. So there's uncertainties with putting out the RFP, which we had discussed, including bear resistance totes for the organics and garbage. Currently, there's a significant delay in manufacturing totes. And what that means is that any RFP that's put out, we couldn't expect a contractor to start using manual collection and then when the totes arrive, switch to automated. That's a significant capital expense for them, and it's different trucks that they would use. The other issue with going with municipal provided totes is sizing, and I've laid that out into the report. So basically what staff is recommending is that we put together a communication program and go out to residents and get feedback on what they'd like to see for their garbage collection.
Sorry to interrupt. To know if there's somebody in the waiting room.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillors, any questions?
Yeah, I've got 4. It concerns me that the agreement ended at September 30th and it's coming to us now after the expiry date again. I'd like to see stuff come prior to things expiring so that we've got a little bit of leeway there. The other thing, second question is the
Is that a question?
That's a request.
That's a request.
Yes.
We had an extension to December 31st, 2022, so the contract has not expired.
But it says right in our package, it's dated for September 30th. It's it ended there, as I understand.
No, the current contract is good till the end of December of
The end of
this year.
December report.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
We already extended it once before.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with 2 then. I'm concerned about these wheeled totes, like the larger wheeled totes are difficult for people with steep driveways. And we're getting more and more seniors here, and I can't imagine pushing one, up the driveway if you're on the low side or down or seeing the thing take off. It concerns me that why are we even looking at totes? I recognize we're the last community on the North Shore that has manual garbage collection. But I don't know why we're asking to go to something that's going to cost homeowners a lot of money and be possibly unsafe on steep driveways. It's just questionable. And then the third question is, it just seems, well, more it's a comment again, sorry. It just seems like it's another attempt to take away our benefit of unlimited green waste because the automated ones won't do it. And I see it buying tags to get an extra garbage can. And I think when it comes to garden waste, it's unlimited and we should hang on to that. I mean, if it costs us a little bit more, it'll probably cost less than how much buying all these wheeled totes would be. So I think we're going in the wrong direction. So I don't know if we needed these bigger things.
So the size of the totes are basically what we've looked at in other communities, District North Van, City of North Van, District of West Van. The idea with going to totes is so that they can be outfitted with bear resistant clasps and make collection easier for the collector. But that's pretty much it. Otherwise, we'd stick to a manual collection routine. If that's what, and that's part of the reason why we want to go out to the public for that, to get their feedback.
Well, I would say you're right on that, because I think that feedback is more important than what North Van or West Van are doing at all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Also, District of Squamish was a big comparator that we looked at, and they've got, you know, about the same sort of bear issues that we have.
Right.
And so we looked carefully at what they do as well. So that was one of the key components.
Okay, thanks.
In the District of North Van, that when they did what their program by putting these bear-proof clasps on the bins, they kind of regret, because they then allowed people to leave the garbage outside just because they had a clasp on the bin. Although they hadn't actually changed the bylaw to say that, that was the general perception. So they made the problem worse. So we've got to be careful how we do this. Anyway, there's a point of clarity on that.
Nye, how do you plan on doing that? Is that just online or you, or are you actually going to send something out in the mail?
No, I think this is to every resident, and it's a mail drop.
Okay.
And it, yeah, I mean, we need to clearly think about how we're going to put this out and the message.
Got it.
Just now that we have more than one committee that would be involved or would like to have some input, obviously Bear Smart.
Climate action, bird friendly, yeah.
So yeah, so let's make sure we get input from them as well.
Correct, yes.
I think that's moving in the right direction.
Councillors, any more?
No.
There you go. Thank you very much. Before I call a motion, CFO or CAO, there was, I heard from somebody that there was this specter that I had signed a contract without going to council with respect to garbage. Could you confirm that's not the case for me?
No. There was a point in time, I think it was in February
This year
or last
year,
where we were looking at changing things up and got ahead of ourselves, put something in the village update, and council rightly put us in our place, but nothing had been signed. It was just a direction that we thought was the way to go, and reasoned and put forward the rationale, but hadn't yet had that conversation with council. So yeah, we had to reverse course, as you know. But yeah, that's all there was for that.
thank you very much. Call a motion. All those in favor, please confirm by saying yes. Opposed, no. Yes, carried. Thank you very much. Next item is for the CAO, and this is the Clad emergency building expansion retrofit, and this is that the information is received. CAO, to you, please.
Yeah, so as I have previously mentioned, we struggled to stay within what was always a very tight budget for this 100% grant funded project. And it was clear that the ideal plan that was drawn up was going to cost too much money. Pardon me. So we went back to the drawing board and the project team, which is myself, the fire chief, Ed Langford from SAR, Russ, Michael John from Millennia, who's been doing work on the plans, and Stuart Hood, who has been in charge of mechanical and electrical, along with our project manager from Core, Irvin Fung. Sat around and figured out what we had to do, and that was basically not proceed with a design that included raising the roof on the second floor on the portion that currently eats up about half the room up there with storage space. It's a long area that goes down to nothing, about 12 to 15 feet. And the original idea would have had that raised to provide full height right to the outside with a dormer and smaller storage compartments, whiteboards on the front of the storage compartments and so forth. But it was determined that we weren't going to get anywhere close to our budget without changing course on that. So we came to that conclusion, and the architectural team has undergone revised drawings to change course on that. It will still be expansion out to the back of the fire hall above the expansion below to the concrete foundation area that was poured about 11 or 12 years ago. So it will still be a longer EOC room, multi-purpose room up there. EOC, SAR, fire uses it sometimes, as well as ESS, and sometimes even ambulance. So it'll go right to the back, and it will also have an expansion to the left of that storage space, to the east of that storage space, for an office in that space, as well as making the room longer. So those plans are being reviewed by the building inspector for revised building permit. They're being shopped to contractors by the project manager, as well as by the fire chief. And we're going to determine the best methodology for proceeding, what kind of a model, whether construction management or putting it out to tender to a general contractor. So we'll have we'll come back at some point and further updates on our progress on that. But right now we're doing what we can to get the budget in line with the expectations and the amount that we're getting from the grant.
I have a question, if I could. Do you still have any plans for using tradesmen firefighters for any portion of the work?
Yeah, that will. That was always going to depend on the availability of such personnel, because personnel does change over time. Some of the people that were here a year ago that would have been good are no longer here, and so we'll have to examine that when we get to project startup in the spring. And but we will, hopefully we will find that we have the opportunity to put it out to a general contractor without having to do too much of that. And we may not have the requisite personnel, but we will have to assess that as we go and try to hold back those items if we can, depending on who we have.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other questions before I put forward the motion to proceed? None? Call a motion to proceed. All those in favor, yes. Opposed, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Carried. Which brings us to item number 5, 6, 7, 8, which is the Lions Bay Beach Park Revitalization Project. And there are additions to that as well, which is on the table, correct? And CAO, you have some additional information as well. And what I propose to do is that there's 2 reports here. They both refer to each other. And but I'm referring to page 132, 133 in my package of 182. And using my office, I'm going to suggest that council, there is a lot of information before us. And rather than speak about a broad field of topics surrounding the beach park, I'd like us to winnow down to the core decision first. And in that respect, a motion will be put forward for consideration. Seconded, I hope, and then discussion will ensue. There's no foregone conclusion as to what this evening's outcome is going to be, but I'd like to get us focused on the decision, and then we can go from there. So I'm going to suggest that a resolution that council directs staff to proceed with the updated plans and budget in accordance with option 2, as outlined on page 3 of the budget summary. This will enable staff to place the order for the prefab washroom facility to be delivered and installed in time for the summer of 2023. I will put that forward. I would appreciate a second, and we can have a discussion, or we can suggest we go elsewhere. Do I have a second? There being none. I would prefer not to sit here and listen to about Beach Park. As I mentioned, I would prefer to make a decision here. So if there's an alternate decision, perhaps somebody could put it forward.
I think we have to move this along to the next council.
That would be delay proceeding with any, this is page 133.
Yeah, item D, option D.
Okay, you put forward that motion.
Delay proceeding with any of options 1 through 4 and A through C identified in this report until such time as the new council is sworn in. This will have the effect of jeopardizing completion of the main elements of the project in time for the summer of 2023 season.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Well, yeah, if I could just weigh in on this as well. I think through the public input we've received recently, I don't want to say we got 50% one way or the other or whatever the percentage is, but there's a significant amount of people that are not enthusiastic about moving this forward, and a significant amount of people who would like to weigh in on more of the input. Some think we're going in the wrong direction. I think they need to be given a voice so we can understand everybody's point of view, because it's going to be with us for a long time, and we just have to get it right. And everybody should be happy with what the end result is. And for the people that are against where we're going with it, I'd like to be able to satisfy them as well. So I support the motion.
There you go. Any further discussion?
Well, I definitely support moving it forward to the next council to engage in consultation. Clearly, there's a lot that people want to say about this. With the clarification from Pam that how does this jeopardize a grant if we have not?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
We've got lots of time.
26.
Okay, so then I think that's the right thing to do. We definitely need to engage in maybe even in a town hall sort of environment to have as many people that can come and weigh in.
I agree with where we're going. The word jeopardizing doesn't mean to me that it's dead in the water. We're not going to make May. I get that.
I think the language is clear. It says jeopardizing completion by the summer of 2023. That's what we're jeopardizing.
Yeah,
the project.
Not the project. And I don't know, we jeopardize in summer 2023, but I don't think we should give up on that goal. Just because we can't get it done by May doesn't mean we should, maybe strive to get it done by June or July.
We could just be looking at porta potties for a portion of the summer.
The first part of the summer, maybe, whatever. I just, let's not agree to give up the whole year, unless that's what we need to get it right. I think if project one, get it right. But let's get a, good schedule together and try
I
and.
think we're getting ahead of ourselves. All we're asking to do here is to move it to the next council.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing.
Mhm.
Call a motion. All those in favor, please confirm by saying yes. Opposed, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Good, carried. Thank you very much. And that takes us to mayor's report. I have none. Council, anybody? No?
I was not able to get the CAC year-end report done for this meeting, but I will get it done for the first session of the new council.
Municipal coordinator, could you put that on unfinished business, just so we. All right, Councillor Barmere down, he's in Hawaii. Thank you, committees none, the fire dispatch, Surrey Regional, that's fire department, all of those in favor of receiving the report, please confirm by saying yes. Good, carried, thanks, resolutions none, bylaws none, correspondence. Councillor Cunliffe.
Last rodeo.
Page 157.
This term.
Might I recommend you receive G1 to G7?
With the exception of perhaps making a statement on the village, in the village update, just recognizing that this is Foster Family Appreciation Month and it's a pretty big commitment that families take on. So if that could be possible, I think that would be wonderful. And then Linda, I saw you did respond to the Rural Health Network about leading a delegation to us, but they have not yet reached out to book a day or time.
No, they have not.
Okay, so I think you've done your due diligence there. Maybe a follow-up if you have a moment just to see. The new council may very well be interested in that, considering how it does fit in with our new rural designation. Is that a reasonable?
Guess I'd be curious to know if we can get nurse practitioners local.
And where does that put us? Like, I know we're not allowed to take our garbage to Squamish, but are we allowed to use the Squamish Hospital or we designate it to Lionsgate?
No, you can use it. Use Squamish.
Okay.
I think a more interesting discussion would be to see if we can get a nurse practitioner in town or something in town.
Somebody that
There's
could
some way
do
to get the province.
like an
to
extension
calling
of
up for that, yeah. We
coastal
could have
health.
some local healthcare.
Yeah. Coastal health is kind of a tough one to get out here.
Well, just ask the question.
Yeah, exactly. Information is more information we have, the better. And then when our resident correspondence, essentially all.
Can I get back to one on the general correspondence?
Yes.
First one. I think we should push for a stronger statement that no treatments are currently planned in our watershed. We know there's none currently planned, but I would really think we should, it'll be for the next council, I guess, keep plugging away at this to get some commitment that they're never going to spray pesticides in our watershed. I mean, I'm not happy if this is done, to be honest. I think we should keep going on this. I know you've been the one doing most of the.
One might even consider it's a rather significant victory so far.
It's definitely moving in the right direction.
There we go. I think that
if it didn't say currently planned, I would have been happy with the rest of it.
well, I think we are where we are now, so maybe we'll just make a note, staff can make a note for the strategy session where the pending mayor may want to go.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, Councillor.
And the resident correspondence, I would say to receive for information.
Thank you very much. Okay, then. We're not going to respond to that.
There's a lot of very robust discussion that I don't feel I am entirely qualified to. I guess let me backpedal there. to former Mayor Burr, we could put towards for the next council in the strategy session, whether they would like to consider purchasing air quality monitors at $259 each to be put at different places in the village.
Okay, it's fine with me.
And the commentary on the vacant speculation and vacancy tax that's a provincial.
I could see that being received.
That it's, local governments, I unfortunately don't have a huge amount of say on that. And
Can I just touch on that? In the last term, you guys got us excluded from that, or did we just automatically get excluded? Was the work done? I was led to believe there was, we wrote a letter and asked to be excluded, and that's how it came about.
no,
We asked a question to clarify. They kind of missed us. We couldn't get a straight answer on whether or not we were in or out. And depending on who we called, we got a different answers. I think that's where the confusion arose. It took us months, literally, I think a couple of months to get clarification that we were not.
I think,
correct.
I think as well, Carl had a conversation with either the minister or the deputy minister about, hey, we need to have clarity here, and you haven't put us in, so can you give us a confirmation that we're out? And I think we eventually got that confirmation, so.
Okay. So do we feel there's anything for the next council to try? I mean, first we'd have to understand, the next council will have to understand whether they think it's a good thing or bad thing for us to be in or out. But what I'm hearing now is there are more people impacted by this than we might have first believed.
Maybe that should be a public consultation in terms of getting feedback from people to find out, okay, how many people actually are affected and why, what kinds of circumstances, because we would need to have examples and rationale for making a case.
So can we put it on unfinished business and the next council wrap their head around it?
Yeah, or strategic planning, or
I think a strategic plan. I think new council, maybe this council, and we could move through it quickly. It may be some other folks that are probably just learning their steps. So let's put it to the strategic plan. That's fine with everybody.
Yeah. And I don't think there's really much response needed, but just the commentary by Mr. Ergotowski on motorcycles in the sea to sky, and we continue to push for enforcement with the RCMP. I think we all were affected last week by another fatality on the highway, so.
Victor, anyhow, thank you very much, Councillor, for your quarter on rotation. I'm sure you're happy to see that end. The next piece is new business, and actually I'm going to go backwards a little bit. That we're going to call it new business, but it's not. It's back to the beach park revitalization project. I would ask staff that the information that we have seen here tonight is pushed into the web and is included as additional link to the information that we have here. It is now. Thank you. And
that brings up a good point. The web still shows the old plan, not the new plan. We could put the new plan up.
So I could have sworn I saw the new plan when I went into the thing, but okay. So where I'm going with this, so the information is pushed up into the web, so it's all in one document. And I would also ask that staff continue to seek feedback from the residents. I mean, this is just because things are happening here doesn't mean people can't just keep putting their feedback forward. It doesn't just stop. Is council fine with that?
Yeah, just one further question on that. So we're going to go in a village update and say it's still open for feedback. And while we're not sitting, could we get further feedback on the CUP project as well? I know it had a long time period, but it was over the summer.
I got a lot of feedback in the last couple of days about the View article being something people don't really read as much as we might think. And there might be some other way we should be doing this through mail outs or a little more concrete so it actually gets into people's hands.
So where I was going, just to leave it with, no, just, I mean, we're all kind of going here, is that the information's backed up to the website and that I think the residents still have a keen interest in the project. And even though we're here today and a decision's been made, I think the feedback should keep coming. So if we could seek feedback from the residents for the next 3 weeks or so, I think that'd give everybody a chance. If that's fine. Gary. Okay, thank you very much. Which brings us to public questions and comments. If anybody virtual or live swinging around, I see no one. Mr. Byrne, your hand is up. You've got the floor. If you don't have to show your camera off, but you are unmuted, so you've got the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you. I wasn't going to say anything, but you brought it up, and it wouldn't be right to have a one-sided update. But the fact that it has taken 1.5 years for our contract has nothing to do with ensuring building codes or drainage. I quote, "Sorry for the delay in getting this off to you, but it's a relatively new form of our legal documentation for these kinds of encroachment agreements developed by our legal counsel and approved by council." You've been copied and informed of the series of emails setting requirements that have no basis in bylaws or building codes. There's been attempted intimidation, which you've also been made aware of more than once. I have sworn affidavits to the events that have transpired here. So really, it's a shame that it took 1.5 years, particularly to present an agreement that says the village can have us remove it with 60 days notice, full stop. No trigger required, no violation needed. This council approved that agreement. Excuse me. This council approved that agreement in November 2021. That doesn't sound like an agreement that's fair to residents, and you are supposed to represent the residents. So clearly you did not have the residents' interest in accepting this template. Further, many of us are now wondering what the process is to get agreements passed in secret council meetings like the one on Brunswick last week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Byrne. I don't know what to say on your comments here, but certainly the council members are trying to ensure that you're accommodated through an amended agreement that gets you where you need to go. I don't have any more to say on that. This is a staff function, not a council function. As to a secret meeting, I presume you mean in camera about anything to do with Brunswick. I can tell you, sir, that simply didn't occur. Thank you very much. And Mr. Shore, you're up next, please.
Hi, everyone. Let me just start with a quick comment and thank you for your decision on deferring the decisions and the direction for the beach park. That was the right thing to do. I'm actually commenting about the minutes from the last meeting where I was quoted as requesting information regarding the selection process of the project manager. If you go back to the recording, I actually asked for quite a bit more detail about this than that. So I'll ask it again. I'm still waiting for it, but I'd like to know why an outside project manager was hired, like even considered to be hired, when the bid process for jobs has been on a government website and easily available for any contractor to submit bids. Today, it seems to be a closed bid, and I'd like to understand initially why the direction was moved away from what we had been doing previously, why this particular project manager was hired, what criteria that manager uses for selecting participants and the eventual winner of bids. And I'd like to know how much that position is costing the village. So asking a little more detail than just the information regarding the selection of the process as recorded in the minutes. Any questions on that? Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shore. I think we've got time for one more, Mr. Broughton.
Just a quick question, with regard to the CXT building for the beach park. My understanding was the mayor's suggestion was that the motion be passed in order for that building be ordered. And I'm very concerned because I don't think the residents have any concept of what the building would look like. So far as I'm aware, there is a roof on this drawing, and there's a copy of the floor plan, and there's a little bit of information about the outside surfaces, which when you look on the website are quite pedestrian and quite concerning. So I guess what I'm concerned about is that there be fulsome information provided for the residents to be able to really understand, first of all, whether the building needs to be replaced, and secondly, if it is going to be replaced, what the building that's being replaced with looks like, what the height is, what the outside surfaces are, whether the inside surfaces in fact are what the community is looking for. Right now, the looking on the CXT website, the replacement building is very concerning, and the interior surfaces don't seem to meet any kind of expectation that village residents would have, which would, and I think Mr. Shore outlined some of the hopes for a new building. So anyway, so I just think the community would love to be involved. The community would love to understand what's being proposed, and would ask you to make sure that you read that information is readily available. And in the case of the building, I'm very concerned about it. Okay,
Thank you very much, Mr. Broughton. Which brings us to the return to the closed council section. So
Before we do this, Peter, you were writing notes when David Shaw was talking. Were you planning to respond to those questions?
Yeah,
okay.
but I can't write that fast, so I'm gonna ask Linda to transcribe word for word what he said from the recording.
And then reply.
And then reply.
thank you very much. So to the public, we'll say good evening to you, and thank you for joining us this evening. And good evening.
thank you very much.